Thing going for them: insane graphics, gripping gameplay, and the kind of hype most developers would kill for, but somehow these games still flopped hard. Whether it was bad timing, broken launches, or just plain bad luck, these masterpieces never got the spotlight they deserved. Some were ahead of their time, others were victims of unrealistic expectations or poor marketing. But here's the twist: every single one of these games is actually worth playing. In fact, they might just be better than half the overhyped trash we see topping charts today. So let's dive into 10 absolutely incredible games that crashed and burned, and find out exactly why they failed. When Titanfall dropped in 2016, it wasn't just good, it was genre-defining. A fast-paced FPS with wall-running parkour, slick mech combat, and one of the most emotionally powerful campaigns in shooter history. Critics praised it, players loved it, so how the hell did it flop? The answer: EA killed its own game. They released Titanfall to write between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty: Infinite Warfare, to absolute juggernauts. No breathing room, no chance to shine. It was buried alive by its own publisher. And despite having one of the most inventive FPS campaigns ever made, Titanfall sold poorly and was forgotten by the mainstream. But now, it's a cult classic. Gamers still beg for a sequel, proof that even if you flop at launch, greatness can't be ignored forever.
Strange. These reports reference a male, not a female.
14 escapes, huh? Well, you won't forget, not what the...
Batman: Arkham Origins. Imagine following up Arkham City, one of the greatest superhero games ever, and somehow becoming the black sheep of the franchise. That's exactly what happened to Batman: Arkham Origins. It had all the right ingredients: a younger, more brutal Batman, a snowy Gotham, and a deadly showdown with Black Mask and a lineup of assassins, so why did it flop? Simple. It wasn't rocksteady. Fans knew this one wasn't made by the original devs, and the moment the game launched, it showed. It was riddled with bugs, performance issues, and reused assets. The combat was solid, the story had promise, but technical problems and lack of polish killed the hype fast. Worse, Warner Brothers refused to fix the bugs, telling players they were too busy working on DLC. The betrayal was real, yet beneath the mess lies one of the most underrated Batman stories, and if it had just been given the same love as the others, it could have soared.
Oh, time to preen like a peacock.
Look at you in those fancy clothes, Nico. Trying to upstage the groom on his wedding day? Let's get me married.
I now pronounce you husband and wife, you...
Grand Theft Auto 4. It was supposed to be the future of open-world gaming. Gritty, grounded, cinematic. GTA 4 was Rockstar's boldest leap yet. Nico Bellic wasn't your typical GTA anti-hero. He was broken, haunted, and real. Liberty City felt alive, like a character in itself. Critics loved it. It even won Game of the Year, but over time, the fan base turned on it. So, what went wrong? Fans wanted chaos. What they got was depression and realism. No planes, no tank sprees, no jetpacks, just gritty mob deals and serious themes. Rockstar traded wild fun for a slow burn narrative, and many gamers weren't ready for that. Plus, the PC port was a disaster, buggy, demanding, and barely playable on average rigs at launch. Sales were strong, but the backlash was louder. Years later, though, people are finally realizing what GTA 4 was, an underrated masterpiece buried under the shadow of San Andreas and GTA V. Imagine a game with Iron Man-style flight, a stunning sci-fi world, and BioWare, the creators of Mass Effect and Dragon Age, behind the wheel. Anthem was hyped to the moon. It looked like the next big thing in online shooters. Jetpacks, co-op missions, gorgeous visuals. What could go wrong? Turns out, everything. At launch, Anthem was a half-finished, empty shell. The world was pretty, but dead. The loot system was broken. Missions were repetitive. And worst of all, it had no soul. BioWare's signature storytelling was missing, replaced with a bland live service model that felt more like a cash grab than a passion project. Behind the scenes, development was a nightmare, rushed, chaotic, and directionless. Players left within weeks, and despite big promises, the Anthem 2.0 overhaul was cancelled. What was meant to be EA's Destiny killer ended up being its most embarrassing failure.
He's not weakening!
This wasn't just a game, it was a visual masterpiece. A bold reboot with a stunning painterly art style, fluid parkour, and a mysterious world that felt like a moving painting. Ubisoft took a massive creative risk with Prince of Persia 2008, and it actually worked. Critics praised its unique look and relaxed vibe, but the fans, not so much. Why did it flop? Because it wasn't the Prince they wanted. Gone was the dark tone of Warrior Within and the gritty edge fans loved. Instead, they got a chill, cel-shaded Prince cracking jokes with a magical sidekick, and get this, you literally couldn't die. Every time you missed a jump, Elika saved you instantly. It killed the tension and made the game feel like it was holding your hand the entire time. Combine that with a cliffhanger ending and no sequel in sight, and the fanbase just walked away. Years later, though, many now see it as a misunderstood gem, a game that dared to be different in all the right ways. When Ubisoft first revealed Watch Dogs at E3 2012, the internet exploded. It looked like the future, hacking the city, manipulating traffic lights, crashing security systems, all in a living, breathing open-world Chicago. It promised next-gen freedom. This was going to change open-world gaming forever. But when it finally released, players felt conned. So, what went wrong? One word: downgrade. The jaw-dropping visuals we were shown nowhere to be found. The final game looked dull, watered down, and stiff. But the disappointment didn't stop at graphics. The protagonist, Aiden Pierce, was a bland, emotionless brick. The hacking gimmick, cool for the first hour, then repetitive. Players expected the power fantasy of being a digital god, but instead got a trenchcoat-touring grump fighting random gang members in a city that felt surprisingly lifeless. Watch Dogs didn't just flop because of what it was, it flopped because of what it promised to be and never became.
After the Buenos Six show. Well, on to the Revenge Girls.
I don't know, man. That got pretty rough. The top of the line dolls.
This was supposed to be the game of the decade. Keanu Reeves' neon-drenched open world, deep RPG mechanics, Cyberpunk 2077 had hype on a scale we've rarely seen. CD Projekt Red had just come off The Witcher 3, so expectations were through the stratosphere. But when launch day hit, the entire industry watched it burn. Why did it flop at first? Because it released in a completely broken state. On consoles, it was a buggy, unplayable mess, filled with T-poses, crashes, disappearing NPCs, and laughable AI. Players felt betrayed. Sony even pulled it from the PlayStation Store, a move that rarely happens. And the backlash, brutal, refunds, lawsuits, and a massive hit to CDPR's reputation. All because they rushed it to meet holiday sales and didn't listen to internal warnings. To be fair, Cyberpunk has come a long way since. Today, it's polished and playable, even brilliant in parts. But its launch, one of the biggest flops in modern gaming history.
Peter Joseph!
Amen! Amen!
This will allow you to cross the threshold and live. Bring back proof of his death. They will at last understand I am their prophet,
and I'll give you the help you need. We both get what we want.
Coming off the explosive ending of Far Cry 5, fans were hyped for what would happen next. A post-apocalyptic sequel in the same world, with mutated wildlife, colorful warlords, and a scorched version of Hope County. Far Cry New Dawn sounded like a wild ride, but when it dropped, nobody cared. Why did it flop? Because it felt like a Reskin cash grab. Ubisoft pushed it out barely a year after Far Cry 5, and it showed. Same map, recycled mechanics, and a weird pink and purple Mad Max aesthetic that clashed hard with the gritty tone fans were expecting. The new villains, forgettable. The gameplay, tired. It didn't push the franchise forward. It felt like filler. Fans didn't want another half-baked spin-off, they wanted evolution. New Dawn didn't just flop because it was bad, it flopped because it felt unnecessary.
I'm all right. I can make it on my own.
Life forms detected. Waking from emergency sleep mode. Rebooting.
The name Metal Gear should mean something. Tactical espionage, deep storylines, mind-bending twists. But Metal Gear Survive, that wasn't Metal Gear. It was a zombie survival game with cardboard flavor. After Hideo Kojima left Konami, fans feared what the series would become, and Survive confirmed their worst nightmares. Why did it flop? Because it felt like corporate fan fiction. Gone was the genius storytelling and iconic characters. Instead, we got a soulless survival grind with base building, microtransactions, and a generic plot about wormholes and crystal zombies. It was like Konami took the Metal Gear brand and slapped it on a budget game to squeeze out one last paycheck. Fans rejected it instantly. Reviews tanked, and sales were embarrassing. Even hardcore Metal Gear loyalists stayed far away. Survive didn't just flop, it crashed, burned, and got erased from the franchise's legacy.
It's time to push up. Hostile control sector Alpha.
Hostile tank spotted! 60 meters from my position!
Enemy soldier marked!
This was supposed to be Battlefield's glorious return. Huge 128-player maps, dynamic weather, futuristic tech, and the raw chaos the franchise is famous for. The trailers looked epic, the hype was through the roof, but when Battlefield 2042 launched, it became one of the most disappointing releases in modern FPS history. Why did it flop? Because it was unfinished and unrecognizable. No campaign, no class system, broken hit registration, buggy vehicles, glitchy servers. Players were falling through the map, getting killed by invisible enemies, and watching tornadoes that looked cooler in trailers than in actual gameplay. Worst of all, it felt like a tech demo, not a Battlefield experience. Longtime fans were furious. It stripped away what made Battlefield special and replaced it with soulless chaos and half-baked ideas. Within weeks, the player base vanished and the game became a meme. A brutal reminder that even giants can fall, especially when they forget their roots. So there you have it to 10 incredible games that flopped hard. Some were misunderstood masterpieces, others were corporate disasters. But all of them prove one thing: greatness doesn't guarantee success. Let me know in the comments which flop you secretly loved, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of gaming.